Why don't I go ahead and get us started? So I'm Amy Young. I'm the executive director of the American Board of OB GYN. I have to stop saying the new executive director because I've been in my role for about 9 months. And I'd also like to take the opportunity to introduce you to Andrea Rankin, who's the director of certification standards and GME affairs, who spends a lot of time working with you all, and also Marcia Conglington, who's the executive assistant to the executive director. Both Marcia and Andrea have years of experience as program managers, and so they understand the kind of the ins and outs of life as a program manager. And I myself was a program director for about 10 years, so I also sort of have that perspective that I share with some of you. We are going to tape this presentation and we will post it, but I wanted to share some updates and some exciting news on the resident portal that we've been working towards, and we're really excited to share this offering with you. But I wanted to talk to you for a couple of minutes about the vision that we have here at the board about the relationships that we have with learners. And so if, Andrea, if you'll advance the slides, I'd appreciate it. So I like to start as a way of centering to talk about ABOG's mission. So we define standards, we certify obstetricians, gynecologists, and we facilitate continuous learning to advance knowledge, practice, and professionalism in women's health. And that's really sort of a mouthful for us to say that what we do is we have a North Star, if you can advance the slides, and that we do all of this because we play our role at the board as being safekeepers for women's health care. And we take that really seriously. And we think the journey to being a provider in women's health care really starts earlier on, but our first interaction is with residents. And so if you will advance the slide. And so we have a vision here at ABOG that I think I've brought to the board, but ABOG has this very strong legacy, and so we are working to try to advance that legacy and the richness and promote our roles as being, playing in our lane as a safekeeper of women's healthcare in three ways. One is connection. So it's really important to us that we build connection with our learners as they go through their journey from being a candidate to a diplomate as obstetricians, gynecologists. Our diplomates have a lifelong relationship with us through continuous certification or maintenance of certification. And so it's really important for us that we establish a strong connection early on. And that's really what we're hoping that the portal will facilitate for us. We also need to promote mastery here at ABOG. So it's not good enough for us just to be a certifying body and set the minimum standards for assessment for that diplomate status. It's about having this relationship with the candidates and with our basically with program managers, et cetera, to make sure that we set our diplomates on a pathway to promote and incentivize mastery for their whole careers. And then lastly, ABOG has a calm, reliable, influential voice for our specialty and our diplomates to ensure that we have the ability to promote agency amongst our diplomates and so that they can provide the safest care possible for women. So essentially at the board, we try to really align our strategies and our tactics with these three themes, really in the overarching support that we promote safe care for women. Next slide. So I wanted to just give you a little bit of the why behind the resident portal. This is new information, sort of hot off the press, but we want to facilitate connection with residents earlier in their training. If I think back to my days as a candidate, I think back to my days as a program director, ABOG didn't really sort of enter the picture or enter the realm until it was time for people to take qualifying exams. They had to pay an awful lot of money, and it was basically a scary interaction, a scary time. And so we're trying to facilitate that connection. We don't want to, we want to make sure that you guys understand that we value that relationship. We want to promote mastery through our continuing certification process. We have this curated list of articles and other future materials that we will put together and promote. You'll see a lot of them coming through as part 4 for MOC as well. And we feel like those things that are oftentimes good for the diplomates are also good for the candidates. And so we'll show you some exciting developments there. I already talked a little bit about facilitating agency and professionalism. That facilitation of agency and professionalism extends back into the residency training program. And so part of this opportunity through the portal is so that we establish some of those goals up front, and so that we can continue to facilitate that connection and provide that calm, reliable voice for the specialty. And we have a real important role in that we want to make the roles of the program director, the program manager, and the resident easier by also decreasing that burden at the end of training. So if you will, we want to use the resident portal as the opportunity in the future to create and facilitate really an eligibility portfolio for residents and trainees to make this process more transparent, frankly, less scary, and so that we can start to build that relationship throughout training. Next slide. So I did want to take an opportunity to talk a little bit about what ABOG does and what ABOG doesn't do. So you can see us there in the green as the American Board of Obstetrics and Gynecology. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the hierarchy of medicine to illustrate what we do and we don't do. So we set standards for professionalism and eligibility requirements for our exam based on evidence, and it's grounded in psychometric rigor. So we do that by developing a blueprint to establish criteria for the minimally qualified candidate. And I always bring this up to remind you that our blueprint is actually the floor, and it's not necessarily where your curriculum should be designed. And so we worked with the RRC to make sure that they understand what that blueprint is there for, and that will also help them set training standards. So thinking about this sort of triad here, we at the American Board of OB/GYN have a parent body, the American Board of Medical Specialties, and we interact with our OB/GYN RRC, who also reports up to the Accreditation Council for Graduate Medical Education, or ACGME. So where we set standards for individuals, the ACGME sets standards for training programs. And then we work synergistically with the medical societies, that's ABOG, that's ACOG, and then for the subspecialty societies, it's their individual, like SMFM, SGO, and so we work sort of hand in hand, but at a little bit arm's length of those because of the responsibilities. And you see I've got two navy blue or black, depending on how you see them, squares out there about the Federation of State Medical Boards. So boards grant licensure on a state level basis. We grant certification. ACGME accredits programs, and the medical societies provide a lot of the educational materials that are used in all of those particular processes. And so hopefully that's provided a little bit of clarity for you guys about what we all do in our space. And as it relates to the portal, what we are trying to do is make this process easier and more transparent for candidates and for our future diplomates. So I think it's also important to know that with a new executive director comes new strategies and some new tactic. And so I would say that this is an evolving work in progress. We are setting the framework to be able to build a lot for the candidate and the diplomate's future. So we will be working towards building this eligibility portfolio, both for the qualifying exam and the certifying exam. And so I want you to think about that as a build as you go philosophy. So this transition that you will see today is just sort of the starting point, but we will plan to build on that framework going forward. We will be giving program managers the ability to have access to those portals. You know, the reality is these are under the ownership of the residents, but we want to have the program managers have the ability to access that, as well as for program directors. We'll be working in the future to establish the opportunity to bring the case log summaries over, and they'll be included with a resident attestation as part of their eligibility criteria. Now, that's not going to require any other work for you guys as program managers or program directors. Those will come straight to us at the board. It actually are coming over, but we haven't been using them in any way for the last 5 years. So that's a story that you will see in the future, and we'll be back with you when we talk about that. One of the things that we're also considering is how we can make this burden lesser on residents. We're considering and exploring sort of the option of creating a payment plan so there's not these big bulk payments that you're used to with the board. And so we're asking some questions on this year's QE exam survey to help guide that. I'm not promising you that's coming or that's not coming, but to let you know it's something that we're thinking about. But we're also going to be looking at some processes to try to improve engagement with you guys as program directors and as program coordinators as we continue to evolve the system. We want to hear from you about what works and what doesn't work so that we can continue to evolve and improve. So with that, I think I'll turn it over to Andrea, who will walk us through what the portal looks like, sort of the responsibilities related to the portal. And obviously, we would love to hear from you and get feedback on this new advancement.
All right, give me 1 second while I pull everything up. Okay. Okay, good afternoon. Today I'm going to walk you through the resident portal and what it looks like when they log in and what they're going to see. Our IT department has been working very hard to get this ready to be able to roll out by July 1. We're still completing the updates on the program manager portal, so you won't see that today, but as soon as that's ready to go, we'll schedule another webinar so that we can walk you through and you can actually see all of those changes. You are welcome to put any of your questions in the Q&A section, and we'll get to those as soon as we finish the walkthrough. So what you're seeing first right now is the dashboard. This is the main landing page where all of the personalized status information and tasks will be located. It's purposely designed to look like the diplomate portal so that it's got that continuity throughout their residency and as they're a candidate and then as they progressed into diplomate status. So the first thing is the certification tasks. This section lists all of the tasks that the resident has that are pending. When you click on a task, it'll take you to the page where you can complete it, and new tasks will be updated at the beginning of each academic year. For example, interns, when they first start out, they will have a welcome to ABOG task, which will have a video kind of walking them through the portal and showing them where everything is. And as they progress through their residency and get to a more senior resident, they'll notice tasks that are related more to things like the qualifying exam application. So let's see, the resident progress this is a checklist.
Andrea, I'm going to stop you right there. Are you supposed to be sharing your screen because we do not have it?
Okay, somehow it clicked out of sharing my screen. All right, let's try this again. Can you see it now?
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so certification tasks are all right here. Sorry about that. The residency progress tab, when you click on that graphic, you're going to see a checklist. And so as the residents progress through their training and progress through the different tasks, they will be checked off over here, or they'll be able to see the different statuses of where that task lies. And so as they progress through their qualifying exam application, they'll start noticing that those tasks get checked off. Then they have each year that the residents will fill out the resident leave reporting task. So here they will let us know if they have missed over the 12 weeks allowed that ABOG allows, and if so, and they have missed more than 12 weeks, they'll enter how many days over that 12 weeks that they've missed. This will help us begin to start tracking and hopefully help you track how many days they'll need to make up in the end of their residency. And if they have any questions, they'll be able to click on the resident leave policy up at the top right of the screen, and it gives a very detailed information on how ABOG looks at leave and what things are allowed and what things aren't. The next thing they will have is from the time they start residency, one of the first tasks they'll have is the ability to upload their FLS or EMIG certificate. They can just drag and drop this into their portal, and as soon as they complete that task, it'll go away from the certification tasks list right here. They'll be able to see it in their yearly checklist, the progress task. It'll show up as being completed. But if they still want to see it, they can always click on view all tasks right here, and any task that they have already completed will show up, and they'll still be able to see that, oh yes, I did finish and do what I needed to do. When they become a PGY4, one of the things they will have is they will sign off on the family planning attestation. They'll need to read through the entire statement, which basically states that they have received the equivalent of 2 months training in their family planning before signing their name and clicking accept. So they'll sign their name and then accept becomes available. If there is a resident that has chosen to opt out of this training due to religious, moral, or ethical objections, they will click the opt out box, and then they'll be able to click opt out. You'll see that it disappears out of their task, but it shows in the checklist as being completed. The other really neat thing that we've been able to accomplish is to give residents complimentary access to the MOC articles, the same articles that our diplomates have each year, by clicking on either the graphic for the article progress, the article score, or complete articles task down here. They're able to search by keyword, list by category, or even just go down and look at the different ones and choose which ones they want. They can bookmark one that they want to come back to. They can click on it and instantly read the article, and then they can also take a quiz and test their knowledge. None of these are mandatory. They are all just another tool for residents to use to study and educational purposes. The last thing I was going to say is that this is a work in progress. Like Amy said, we welcome any and all comments and suggestions on how we can make this better for the residents and how we can make this better for you as a program manager or a program coordinator. Or as a program director. So please email us at residency@abog.org and let us know your thoughts. We are welcome to anything, and we are happy to answer questions if you want to start putting them in the chat if there's anything that we can answer. Did I miss anything that you can think of? Okay, so I can see one question that says, are these MOC articles available now for our residents to access and use? They will be available July 1 in their portal. But the quizzes, I will tell you, the quizzes are not the same quizzes that the diplomates take. They're a different quiz because of how we had to design the article quizzes. So, are there any other questions?
So we will be posting this webinar online, and we will be sending it out electronically, a link for all of the program managers and program directors. And we will be featuring this through some important meetings over the summer. But after you guys have the opportunity to get in and play with it, let us know. And then also the residents will have access to their portals midsummer. Looks like I think we have a new question.
They were asking what the email was, and it's residency@abog.org. And I put it in the chat or in the question as well. Okay, if we don't have any more questions, we thank you very much for your time and appreciate you joining us this afternoon. And we will get this out and the recording out for everyone to view very shortly. Thank you.